All right, picking up where we left off, this is part 3 of the lecture for chapter 2, Research Methodology. Now we're concerned with generalizing results across cultures and culturally sensitive research. These are studies that take into account the role that culture plays in determining thoughts, feelings, and actions. Cross-cultural studies. In the upper picture, this is the living space and treasured possessions of a family in Japan. And this differs, for example, from the picture B, those of a family in Mali. Cross-cultural researchers might study how either family would react to crowding or to the loss of their possessions. There are ethical issues to consider in research with human participants. Ethical research is governed by principles that ensure fair, safe, and informed treatment of participants. For ethical and practical reasons, researchers cannot always use the experimental method. Researchers can compare A, non-smokers' lungs to B, smokers' lungs. They can compare the rates of cancer in non-smokers with the rates of cancer in smokers. Ethically, however, they cannot perform an experiment that entails randomly forcing study participants to smoke, even though such experiments could help establish a link between smoking and cancer. Institutional review boards. IRBs. These are groups of people that are responsible for reviewing proposed research to ensure that it meets the accepted standards of science and provides for the physical and emotional well-being of research participants. IRBs consist of administrators, legal advisors, trained scholars, and members of the community. Privacy is also important. The concerns are confidentiality. Personal and identifying information about participants absolutely cannot be shared with others. Anonymity. The researchers do not collect personal identifying information. Another important aspect of privacy is the participants' knowledge that they are being studied. Relative risks of participation. Researchers cannot ask people to endure unreasonable amounts of pain or discomfort. And you have to use a risk-to-benefit ratio. This is an analysis of whether the research is important enough to warrant placing participants at risk. Informed consent is extremely important. People who volunteer for psychological study have the right to know what will happen to them during the course of the study. People under the age of 18 and those with severe cognitive disabilities or mental health disorders cannot legally provide informed consent. If deception is used, a careful debriefing must take place after the study's completion. There are ethical issues to consider in research with animals. Many people have ethical concerns about research with non-human animals in terms of health and well-being and fairness to the animals. Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee judges study proposals to make sure the animals will be treated properly. This committee is similar to the IRBs discussed earlier, except that it evaluates animal research proposals. In addition to scientists and non-scientists, every member of this committee includes a certified doctor of veterinary medicine who must review each proposal to ensure that the research animals will be treated properly before, during, and after the study. Fairness is always an issue. Some species share similarities with humans that make them good models for particular human behaviors or conditions. Scientists can damage or temporarily turn off the hippocampus in rats or mice to test treatments that may help to reverse the resulting memory loss. Another valuable animal model is the transgenic mouse. In animal research, here's an example of the transgenic mouse. The scientists that are studying them. Transgenic mouse is just a genetically modified mouse. You can modify the genes and then just see what the result of the behavior is. Should you participate in psychological research? Well, the answer to that is yes. Some studies will be fun and others boring, but all are important in the understanding of behavior. It is important that as a participant you understand the ethics involved in psychological research. SONA is a system that many universities use, and here at EKU we use it to sign up for studies, as some of you all have emailed me to ask about how to do that. There are a few important things to remember. No one can force you to participate in a study. You have the right to discontinue your participation at any time, for any reason, and without penalty. You are legally and ethically entitled to know what you are getting into so that you can make an informed decision about participating. After you complete the study, you can expect the researchers to debrief you. You can expect that the data you provide will remain confidential. Good study participants also engage the research process respectfully. They arrive on time, they bring paperwork for class credit, and they ask any questions that they have. Study participants are essential to the research enterprise. Your participation is essential for psychology as a discipline to move forward. And that concludes Part 3 for the lecture for Chapter 2, Research Methodology.